Yo guys, what's going on? Robert Warshack here. We are back at it again with another raid video. This video is going to be exciting, so we're going to be covering our fourth ultimate beginner guide. We're going to be covering events, when they're coming out, what they are, and how to take advantage of them. And then also we're going to be taking a look at gear and which gear to prioritize in the early to mid game, as that's going to be something you're going to be absolutely overwhelmed with if you do not control the gear in your inventories. Before we get into the rest of the video, if you haven't already, check out my QR code up there, scan it in the description and pinned comment. You'll find yourself links to take you exactly where you need to go to get this awesome free stuff. Download raid and you're going to get yourself a fantastic legendary Kerato Fox Hunter. You are definitely going to be happy he's on your team. He's one of the best legendaries that you could possibly get right now. On top of that, this code is going to give you a full range of epic champions. One at level 10, you get Ugo, you get Tagor at level 20, and then you get Faye at level 30. And even on top of this, if you use the code Desert Queen in the first 24 hours of your account, you're going to be able to get yourself another Void Legendaries. So with just those two things, you're going to have 2 legendaries and 3 epics pretty much off the bat. And this is already going to be an extremely powerful starting team, which means how could you afford not to start playing Raid right now? With that, let's get back in the video. So first things first is going to be events. As you can see on the screen, obviously there's going to be tournaments and events. The thing is, how do we take advantage of these? How do we know what's coming, which ones are on the horizons and which ones not? You can go to tournaments, you can see what's already happened, but it's unless it's like 12 hours away or 10 hours away, you really don't know what's on the horizon. A really great tool to figure out what's going on in Raid and what to save for is going to be, let's move the screen here. We have the Polarium play, which is how we play Raid on our desktop. If we go to all games, we click on Raid and go learn more. We have overview, events, news, and guides here at the top. If you click on events, this is going to bring up a fantastic calendar for you guys to be able to see exactly what's going on. This updates as soon as things pop up that we know that are coming next. This is a really great resource to use when figuring out how to use your resources that you have and what to kind of save for and what to expect. Also, a new thing, there is a new shop on the website. So if you're a mobile only user, your prices and what you see are probably going to be slightly different than what I see on the desktop. So if you're running off desktop, ignore this part. But if you're strictly playing Raid off mobile, if you actually go to your Polarium points program at the top here and then go learn more, it's going to send you to this website here, which you can check out store. And this is going to have all of the offers that you should have on your phone. However, these are going to be, I think, a little bit cheaper because with my desktop, these are like the cheapest prices, so it doesn't really matter to me, but the mobile prices are actually higher than these. So if you are just if you're playing Raid and you bought something off using like just strictly the mobile, I would highly recommend downloading the desktop version or checking out this store to buy your in-game stuff, just because it's cheaper. And let's take a look at gear. So this is going to be a huge part of Raid when you're killing whatever dungeons or rewards for tournaments, which as you can see here in the past, we came in, I think, first place. You know, we're going to be able to get gear from this. And just because it is epic, just because it is 6 stars, does not actually mean it is good items for you.
Hey guys, Tony the editor here. Just wanted to go over artifact and accessory ranks and rarities and what that actually means. So first off, let's talk about rarities. You have common, which is gray, and it only has 1 base stat. You have uncommon, which is green, which I don't have any of, that only has a base stat and a 1 substat. Blues, which are rares, have 1 primary stat and 2 substats. Epics, which are purple, have 1 primary stat and 3 substats, and legendaries, which are orange, have 1 primary stat and 4 substats. The rarity also determines how many times you can improve the substats as you level up and upgrade that item. So for example, if we look at here, this is what I have currently equipped. I've leveled this up to plus 16 and it rolled additional HP twice, as you can tell by that parentheses number. So on the way up to 16, it got 2 additional pumps into HP percentage. On this epic, and just ignore these green numbers for now, that's a different progression system. On this epic, this rolled HP percentage 3 times. And then on this legendary, it rolled crit rate, speed, and speed. So 4 times on the way to level 16. So super important to know that for gear you're looking at improving. Now it's worth noting that as you level up, you notice this has 4 substats. That's because if we look at a blank uncommon here, Let's actually look even at a normal common, and we go to upgrade. A common can get a substat as you rank it up to level 4. So let's see what that looks like real quick. It rolled HP. Now let's go to level 8 and see what else it rolls. It rolled HP percentage. And now I don't want to spend any additional silver on this because, well, it's not really giving me many additional stats for the amount of silver I'm putting in. So that's kind of what Rob will be going into soon. So your gear can get additional stats that can be really, really, really good. But the good thing about legendaries is it kind of shows you what's on it before you put the silver into it to improve it and see what it can roll. The other thing to look out for is the rank itself. The rank itself determines how strong that primary stat can be. So if we look at just a 3-star weapon, it has attack 12. If we look at a 4-star weapon, its base is 16. And 5-star, 25. 6-star, 35. And how strong those can become as you level them up to a max of 265, for example, on a 6-star, and to a max of 90 on a 1-star. So how strong those bonuses can be, maximizing your silver by making sure that your gear is high rank and high rarity can be super important and save you a lot of money in the long run because you can then plan your gear leveling a lot better, right? It's also worth noting, if you look at this chart, that certain gear can only roll certain stats. So for example, weapons can only have attack as their primary stat and then can roll a bunch of different substats. Helmets only can have HPs, shield can only have defense, static, not percentages. But your gauntlets, your chest plate, and your boots can have a bunch of different primary stats. So as you're going to look for specific stats that you want to really maximize, like crit rate, you want to find gloves with crit rate because it's the only ones that can have that. Then you want a high rank on those so that you can make sure that the max rank of that crit rate is higher. Those are some of the things that I hope that helps contextualize the rest of what Rob's going to be talking about. So thank you guys for listening. Let's get back to the big man himself.
So taking a look at this kind of stuff, generally speaking, all of your blue 4 stars, 3 stars, 2 stars, all of this can be sold. Most of the time, if you're a very beginner player, we're talking the first like week or two, yeah, use any piece of gear you can get because all of it's important. But once you get to about, I'm at my month mark now, and I just have a lot of gear here that I'm never, as you can see here, never going to use. I haven't actually sold a lot of stuff in a while. So we're going to go ahead and you're just going to see it right now. Rank and rarity, I get rid of 1 to 2, gray and green. We're going to go up to 3. We're even going to go up to 4, and I'm even going to include blues here just because I really don't need 4-star blues anymore. It's just not worth it. Go ahead and sell all here just to clean up our gear tab a little bit. All right, so for example, we have a legendary piece of gear here, and let's just take a look at what we got here. We have a defense stat. I wish I could move this higher. All right, I might just move me. Don't mind me just scooting over here. There we go. Let's take a look at this gear now that I'm on the other side. Okay, so we have a 4-star legendary boots on defense. It says 16 defense. This is not percentage, right? We want percentage-based stuff on our rolls, on our gears, because it just overall, as our champions get stronger and the stats of our gear gets higher, getting a percentage is always going to be generally better than a base stat. Not to say that base stats on stuff is bad, but generally, if you see percentage on your stuff, it will be better. So if we look at like, try to find something with percentage on here, as you can see, all of these are just base. See, crit damage, 8%. This is great. Not this particular item, but the percentage chance is very good. And of course, we have like HP 13% here, accuracy is 6 with crit rate being 9% and the res being 9. And hopefully, let's see if I can find a piece of gear that is not a piece of shit. I have most of my good gear on my actual champions. So here is a fantastic boot set here. They do not have speed generally on boots. So if this was like something other than boots, this would actually be cracked. But for example, we have attack 40%. Which is great. We have accuracy at 13. We have a crit rate with a percentage. We have HP, which isn't a percentage, but okay. And then we have speed 2 on these, which brings it to 11. So these are good if they weren't boots. Generally, you always want speed stat on the boots. It's the only gear set in the game that can roll speed as a main stat, and that is only on boots. If you have speed on boots, you want to keep them. As you can see, for example, on my Kyle, we have speed 40, HP, res, defense, and crit damage. Not the best in regards to substats on boots, but we have speed boots, which is more important than anything. And then if we take a look at the chest, we have attack 40%. We love the percentages on the main stat on items like I've mentioned. We have speed, we have crit rate, we have crit damage. For a damage dealer, obviously I don't need HP, but speed, crit rate, and crit damage on our big damage dealer is super good. Again, looking at gauntlets, we have HP percentage with accuracy, attack. Again, res and defense aren't great, but attack and accuracy are very good. And it's even with defense with percentage, so that's not terrible at all. And now if we look at like our weapon, I do have a weapon that does not have percentage. However, we have speed, which is a great stat. We have attack on percentage, crit rate, percentage, and HP, which is percentage. So like, while the top one isn't percentage, the main stat, all of the substats are, first of all, good. And on top of that, they have percentages, which are good as well. So you kind of just have to look at each piece of gear that you get that looks pretty interesting and then kind of go from there. You can definitely overlook speed on boots, but don't do that because you've heard it here. And then another huge thing about gear is the sets. So a lot of times you get bogged down with like, I need the exact number to take advantage of the set. So for example, like just lifesteal, you need 4 lifesteal pieces to get the set bonus of heals 30% of damage dealt. However, while that is good, if those pieces are good and the set bonus is extra, if you have 2 good lifesteal pieces and 2 really shitty lifesteal pieces and you're doing that just to get the bonus, it's not worth it. It's better to just use the best pieces of your gear on the best champions you have, because the stats matter more than the bonuses in the early to mid game of raid. And that's a huge thing to get over. I mean, even with me, I probably have a few champions that I just went for the bonuses because it's easy, rather than just looking at all the stats of everything I have and figuring out what's best for what champion, because obviously that's easy. But if you really want to maximize and optimize your champions, be sure to be looking at the main stat, the substats, and not paying attention to the set bonuses, again, for the early to mid game, because once you get to like end game, you'll have more than enough gear to take advantage of the set bonus, and then you'll definitely have that gear that's good enough to equip. But in the early game, your gear is kind of everywhere, using what's there, and it's way better to get 4 great pieces of gear that with no set bonus than have 2 pieces of okay gear, 2 pieces of terrible gear to have a set bonus that ultimately won't matter because the gear in your champion isn't really capitalizing on it. So hopefully that makes sense, and it hopefully helps you guys clear some stuff in the early game that you wouldn't have cleared. Sorry, my internet's been terrible today. It's actually been super annoying. I haven't been able to stream at all given what's going on. Our fiber has never given problems until now, but now big problems today. And the last part of this is, if you're not sure which gear to put on which champion, a huge thing that you can do is just look at the skills and see how they scale. So if you look at, for example, our turtle boy here, you can click on the skill and it says damage based on defense, which is a good indication that this champion, you probably want to build with a lot of defense on him. If you look at his skill number 2, based on defense. So he's going to scale really off defense. If you look at someone like Karuto the Fox Hunter, which you'll get for free, damage based on attack, damage based on attack, and then he has another one here based on attack. So obviously scaling this guy with attack, crit, accuracy. So looking at the type of champion they are, the skills that they have will kind of equate to the gear that you're looking for. Tanky HP champs, you want your defense, you want your res, you want your HP, you want your accuracy. On your nuker champs, your attack champs, you want attack, you want crit rate, you want crit damage, you want accuracy, things like that. If you've played any other sort of MMO or any like MOBA or anything like that, you'll have a good idea of, like, you know what I mean? Attack champs do offense abilities, support champs, support abilities, and support stats, and then tanks, tank stats. All right, so with that, beginner guide number 4, we're going on to 5 next. Be sure to catch you there. Of course, I'm Robert Warshack, and happy whatever the hell day it is.